first up we have Aries and Aries rising. The channel, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Venus Green. This is going to be your detailed horoscope for the first half of June 2025. First, I want to say this: if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for being patient with me through May. Very difficult month for me personally and professionally. So we are going to go ahead and move on through. It's all right. Everything is good. Just wanted to say a quick thank you there. All right. So now this month is really weaving a powerful story across these mutable signs. And for you as a cardinal fire sign, that really means that you're being pulled into movement and transformation before the path is really clear. So we're working with this Grand Mutable Cross this month that's anchored by the full moon in Sagittarius. And that tension is really pressing on your beliefs, your identity, and your emotional stability. Probably very much also your desire to control the outcome. So you're probably going to feel like you just really want clarity. But what you're really being asked to do is to trust what's real inside you, right? Not what looks good and makes sense on paper and, checks all the boxes and what am I trying to say? Sums all the figures necessarily, but what's inside you? That's what we're looking at. Now, Mars is in Leo and then we'll be moving into Virgo this month. Mars is your chart ruler, and since he starts the month out in Leo, he's lighting up the 5th house. That's children, it's dating, it's creativity, and it's joy. This is big sort of center stage energy. You are probably going to feel a surge of inspiration to express yourself more boldly, to maybe reconnect with something that lights you up and makes you smile. If you are a parent, it could be your kids are extra sort of expressive around this time, or maybe they could be extra demanding around this time as well. But then on June 17th, Mars is going to move into Virgo. That'll be activating that 6th house. So that's daily routines, work, and health. And this is where the energy really shifts from bold expression to intentional refinement. You're going to start to feel sort of the physical effects of mental overload if you haven't been paying attention to that. So think sleep, think gut health, think stress management. These things might be calling for your attention. And, if they are showing up, they're showing up for a reason. If you are showing up for everyone, that's your kids, the coworkers, the clients, all of the people in your life, sort of helping everything move along in the way that it's supposed to. Mars in Virgo might be looking to show you how thin you're really spreading yourself, right? And we want to be taking care of ourselves first, not in a selfish way. And so if you do sort of fall into maybe some sort of physical signs coming up through your body, maybe through your mental health, make sure that you understand these, the illness isn't coming up as a way to punish you, as a way to really more say, hey, look at this area of your life and let's figure out how we can organize this. Because when it's not organized, look what happens to you. Look how you're not able to show up as your shining self in these moments, right? You're meant to be fine-tuning this time and taking a look at everything that's in this area of your life, your daily work and routines, so that you aren't suffering from burnout. And small changes are Now, if we have a look at Venus is in Taurus, and so she's moving into the 2nd house for you. This is her own sign here, the sign of Taurus, and this is all about finances, values, and self-worth. It's one of those sort of rare transits where the universe is actually, offering you the opportunity or wants you to really slow down and enjoy what you've earned. It's a really great time to make some purchases that feel both luxurious, but also very practical. So think things like, new awesome sheets. Maybe it's a nice piece of jewelry, but certainly something that you've probably been, eyeballing for a while. Or maybe it's just investing, in your home or your business in some way. You're probably going to find clarity about how your income is really connected to your level of confidence as Venus transits this house as well. So you're probably going to be thinking about, are you charging what you're worth in terms of your clients if you have your own business? Are you managing the resources that you have in a way that best reflects your growth in some way? All of these things are going to be sort of coming up for you over the month, and Venus is going to have you thinking about those while she is transiting this house. Mercury and Jupiter will be in Cancer. So on June 8th, Mercury is going to enter Cancer, and that's followed then by Jupiter on June 9th. So both of these are lighting up the 4th house of home, family, and emotional roots. Now, this could mean that there's some deeper family conversations that are happening. There could be, for some of you, a desire to maybe do some nesting, maybe redecorate, renovate the home in some way. And for some of you, it could be literal moves or relocations around this time. So Jupiter is expanding anything that it touches. And here it's bringing some emotional magnitude to your sense of belonging. Now, if your physical home doesn't really feel like a sanctuary to you, and that might be an exaggeration of the word, but a place where you love to be and relax, then this is probably the month where you're going to start working on that and trying to fix some of those things and make them a little more comfortable and luxurious. And if there are some old emotional patterns, right, that are coming up, maybe those things are surfacing from your upbringing, right? Pay attention to those things. We're trying to do our best to heal from the past. And when we take the opportunity to do that, to understand those things that come up for us in a non-reactive way, right? We know that that's a possibility, that those things are going to be happening for us, hence listening to your horoscope, then you have a better way to prepare that ground for the future. And that's what you're doing, right? We want to clear out the weeds so that we have good soil and nothing is sort of stealing the nutrients from the beautiful plants or the seeds that we are planting. All right, and then if we get into the full moon in Sagittarius, this is on June 11th. So let's talk about what's happening, because this is kind of the core of really June's astrology. On the 11th, the full moon is going to land in your 9th house. So this is travel, beliefs, education, and philosophy. And it's forming a Grand Mutable Cross with the North and the South nodes, so both the nodes. This is definitely about a realignment, right? It's about a release for sure, so that realignment can come through. So sometime, full moons, a few days before, a few days after, right? That's the span of time that we feel the effects of those. So you might have some kind of a sudden realization that something that you've been chasing, some kind of idea of success or maybe spirituality, something in that 9th house area is going to feel like it doesn't really light it up for you anymore, right? It's no longer feels free and alive. Now, if you have been planning to do some sort of travel or maybe publishing or just sort of taking a leap of faith, this moon is probably going to show you what it is that's missing or what really still needs to be kind of surrendered before you're going to be allowed to move forward with those things. Now, Don't be surprised if you feel quite overwhelmed or maybe a little bit mentally scattered around this full moon. This is that, it's that Grand Cross, right? It's the nature of that Grand Cross. It's pressing from all sides until we surrender our mental control and sort of lean into whatever the spiritual truth is. You might feel like you're being pushed, you're going to feel like you're going to be being forced to make a decision, right? Without knowing what the true clear answer is or should be. And that's okay. It's not a decision-making moon, right? It's a truth clarifying one. So it's just asking you to react, Aries. It's asking you to evolve. So, how should you show up? What should you be doing around this time? Well, you might feel like you're a little bit conflicted between you have this desire to grow and this emotional needs that you have from or for your family and or your children, right? That's a possible scenario that you might be feeling. You could also have again, we're in the 9th house, an old belief that says, by a certain time in my life, age, whatever, fill in the blank, I should be or should have accomplished A, B, or C. And that thing is coming up for review around this time. Well, let's review it. And is that really the truth, right? Did you set that goal a long time ago and maybe you have been holding on to it and because it was, much further away, but now it's a little bit closer. Well, we're refining and realigning. Remember that. Some of you are also going to feel like you're being pulled to kind of, express yourself. You want to speak your truth. You want to do that. It could be personal. It could be professional, right? Whatever setting that's in, it's going to feel like, this is something I got to say. I would have never probably said this before, but now I have to. You want to remember that the key here is to listen to what no longer fits. And I know we talked about that in the overview, but the full moon is about shedding borrowed beliefs, right? Any of those stories that were taught to you, that were handed to you, that weren't things that you decided the outcome or conclusion of on your own. There's going to be some of those things that feel like they no longer really match with who you're becoming, and that's okay. Let's bring those things up for review and let's reset the stage on those. Let's remap the story. Let's reset the goal or redraw the goal or re-understand the goal. So some questions that you might want to sit with around the week, again, a few days before, a few days after the moon that might help you would be, and you can journal these, you can walk and, just have them as your intention. I love walking meditation. And you can also just speak them aloud under the full moon if you like as well, right? But think about where in my life have I been really living by somebody else's definition of success or standards? And for some of you, it could be, what would it look like if I decide to sort of rearrange or redefine things so that they fit my own terms? And those are sort of one and the same, but they're steps apart, because one is sort of first recognizing what those things are in your life, right? The other is really taking that leap to try to understand, well, how far apart is that from what I truly believe in my heart, and how could I merge those things together, right? How can I meet in the middle? I love to find the center. All right, so as we move toward this second half of the month, and you're going to feel the energy shift again, because the new moon in Cancer then on the 25th will also land in your 4th house. So this is bringing in this really beautiful opportunity to set some intentions around home, family, and emotional security. So everything that you're releasing around beliefs and expectations now, that's clearing that space for what's coming. All right, Aries, this is the forecast I have for you for the first half of June. I will see you a little bit later for June part 2. If you feel so compelled, share with us in the comments what belief or story that you are releasing under this full moon. You can also check out my June collective overview for the big picture of what's happening for part 1 of June. And then, of course, don't miss the full moon in Sagittarius video if you haven't seen that yet. It goes a little bit deeper into the symbolism of that lunation. All right, until next time, Aries, be brave enough to rewrite the story and wise enough to let the truth evolve you. Best of luck to you.